Hi, this is Mary Neal. I am interested in talking to you about an amazing find last night on the internet. I found that Martin Luther King, not only was he victimized in life as he struggled for justice for many people, he was victimized in his death when he was assassinated, but it's still going on. I found that he is censored on the internet even today. His speech, the last speech he gave, the Mountaintop address. You know, I've been to the Mountaintop. We know that part of the speech well. Another quote that is almost as famous is the quote that when he's talking to America about being true to what you said on paper. That particular quote has been savagely censored. 2 phrases have been deleted altogether, and some words that are in that quote have been replaced with other words. So you've got 2 main phrases that are totally deleted, and then you've got some words that have been replaced. They've been superseded with other words. My name is Mary Neal. I write, I blog. If you look for my story about this, and you can see it for yourself, and I went to about 20 or more sites, and every place I went, it did not match the video. I have the video footage of that part of his speech, his Mountaintop speech. Most of the time when you go to the internet and you look at the video of his last address, it begins with, "I'm not worried about anything." That part of the speech. That part. But I had the video that has the part dealing with this quote. Let me tell you what they left out. It says, "All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions." That phrase. Maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. You will not find probably in 90% of the places online where you look for the text of his speech. That phrase is cut out. He goes on to say, maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. He said haven't, they write hadn't. Probably not a big difference, but, you know, if you're going to translate a speech, it should be right. It said, but somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of the press. He didn't say the press. He said somewhere I read of the freedom of press. But every place you see it almost, it'll say the press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest for rights. They changed that word. It's written, the right to protest for rights. I think I heard him say rights, but you can listen, you can do it yourself. When you go to mine, I'm going to tell you where to go, and I'm going to put the video up there, the one that I have that's rare footage. It has this quote. It's focusing on this quote instead of just the Mountaintop quote. And you'll see. Listen how he wraps it up this quote. He says, and so, just as I say, we are going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around. We aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. That's the second phrase they cut out. The one about we're not going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around. They left out these 2 important phrases. Maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. That's cut out. And the second whole phrase that's cut out is, we're not going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around. Now, why are they censoring Martin Luther King's speech? We know they had dogs and water hoses at the people who were marching. We've seen it over and over on television. It's too late to clean up your acts about that. That happened Don't try to change history. Almost every place I saw it, those phrases were left out. Those phrases were in his written text of the speech for Stanford University. And as I said, I'm going to go ahead and post that actual video for you. You go to nowpublic.com, Mary Neal. And the name of the piece is Martin Luther King speech. His final speech is fraudulently changed. You know, it's ironic that Martin Luther King had all of this trouble, death, in Memphis, Tennessee. My own justice quest, my family's, has to do with what happened in Memphis, Tennessee. Martin Luther King had marched in Alabama. He had marched in other southern states. He was giving speeches in Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia. But when he got to Memphis, that's it. He died. Right now today, even all these years later, some questions linger in people's minds. Did the police do all they could do to protect him? Did they do anything to him? Even the King family had questions. Took them, went to court again, thinking that maybe James Earl Ray didn't do it alone and that sort of thing. You know about that. The thing is that conspiracies in Memphis don't just happen to people of world renown, fame, like Martin Luther King. My brother, Larry Morris Neal, was a mentally ill heart patient who was secretly arrested in Memphis, Tennessee jail called Shelby County Jail. And at the time, it was under the jurisdiction of the United States Justice Department for prior violations of inmate civil rights. He was secretly arrested. We're looking for him every place. And they kept him. They said they didn't have him for 18 days until he died. How did he die? They won't tell us. We don't know whether they beat him to death. We don't know whether he starved to death. We don't know whether he was in a restraint chair. We don't know what happened to him because they flat refused to give us records. Have you ever heard of anything like that happening anyplace else in America? Why should it happen anyplace in America at all? It's 5 years later now, and we still don't have an inkling. They won't release records. We're suing the Johnny Cochran firm. You can look at YouTube. We have two videos there, Cochran Firm Fraud 1 and Cochran Firm Fraud 2. And the reason we're suing the Cochran Firm is because we tried to sue the jail for wrongful death, took the case to the Johnny Cochran Firm, and they worked to protect the jail instead of putting forth the case for the client. Yes. But it's all on YouTube already, so I won't rehash that. That's Cochran Firm Fraud 1 and 2. But I just want to say that it's really ironic to me when I found that Martin Luther King is still being censored 40 years after his death. And you have no idea the censorship that I go through. I have to fight to post anything. I have to fight. We're having to do our own law case. I guess the lawyers already know, how well connected some people are. And I have to fight to type pleadings. I have to fight. And I can't even go out the house. If I go out the house, I get chased. So, read about Martin Luther King. Go to nowpublic.com. What you're teaching your children when they learn his speeches may very well be wrong. So please go to nowpublic.com. My name is Mary Neal, and look for the Martin Luther King last speech, fraudulent. It's fraudulent. Most places you'll see it on the internet. They left out two phrases. Thank you. And I would say contact me, but I don't know if your phone calls would get through. I don't know if your emails would get through. Not many of mine do. I posted this story, top story, news, but you haven't heard it, you haven't seen it.